So I think one of the most interesting challenges that we have is, can we learn from living organisms how to think in more living ways? And so the first step is just to observe how an organism like a cup plant like this one is, how it develops. And if you look at the leaves here or there, you see that they unfold out in a kind of a flowing movement and then end in these points. And then between the leaves you have these so-called internodes in between them where the plant contracts. So the plant lives in this expansion into the leaves and then contraction and expansion. And at the same time, the leaves are developing up the stem. You can see that they're smaller and then they get bigger and then they get smaller again. Here, big, smaller, 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 and then come the flowers. So what you have is the plant unfolds into the leaves, contracts into the stem, unfolds into the leaves, and that the leaves are smaller each time, and then the plant unfolds into the flowers and the fruits and the seeds, which are already developed in this case. And the seeds carry all this life for the future. So what if our thinking were such that we were able to develop ideas where one idea arose out of the next idea, and then the next idea, based on what was in the past, but on a progression in a direction. And that we continue to develop these ideas, and then we take them back and back until a new idea can flower out of that, that's so powerful that it forms hundreds of seeds that can then become new plants all over the place. That would be a fruitful living idea. And so I think we can begin and can actually work to do this, to model our thinking after living processes where we see everything as being dynamic, and where every idea that we form we see as part of a living process, that we're not afraid to let a leaf die, not afraid to let ideas fall away that we have become accustomed to, that even become part of our lives, that we say they were important at a moment, but now we need to move beyond them, to be ready at any moment to transform into something else. And that's what a plant shows us all the time. That's what it lives up in front of us. And we could become much more plant-like thinkers if we were to take a bit more care and just observe the way plants develop, and then try to internalize that into our own minds and the way we form ideas. But we're aware every idea has its time, and then we need to move on, and we can let things go, and we can live in transformation and be comfortable about that, because it's the nature of life to transform. We have to change. We have to transform the way we interact with nature, the way we think about nature, what we're doing, and how we impact the rest of the world. And that is the positive side of all the negative. And that you see there are a lot of people, and a lot of young people, who are very idealistic and want to change. If you look around, for example, in the universities and colleges, all the sustainability departments that are arising, people who are into green technologies of various kinds, green building, and of course the green energy sources. So that those kinds of activities, the activities like Transition Town, very important, or what we have a lot of around here, regionalizing agriculture, that the food comes from closer by, which is very possible, which we've lost, and we need to regain a regionalization of the food supply. So there are very many good activities going on, and I think what's important is that we're looking towards the future, how we can be positive players on Earth and not just continue to be damaging players on Earth, and that children and young people are empowered through the kinds of education they have, through the kind of experiences they have, to see we can also do good, because out of a sense of negativity or gloom and doom, no force of real renewal comes. And I think that's very important, to keep a positive view on this, not to gloss over all the horrible things that we do. But for young people, they need to be inspired by role models of people who are really trying to do the good work, and a lot of good work is going on. So I'm positive. I'm on the whole very optimistic about what we can do despite all the obstacles that are in our way.